Luigi Mangione pleads not guilty today in Manhattan Supreme Court. This is breaking news, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes, Your Honor. We'd like to make a record, if that's okay with Your Honor. First, we'd request immediate, expedited discovery in this case. The people have had this case for about almost 3 weeks, and that's more than enough time to gather as much information as they can give to us, especially now that we have two proceedings that we have to answer to, one of them being death eligible. So we are requesting that we get immediate discovery of all the New York City Police Department and FBI and federal and state documents. And the second thing I want to make a record of, Your Honor, is I'm very concerned about my client's right to a fair trial in this case. He's being prejudiced by some statements that are being made by government officials. Like every other defendant, he is entitled to a presumption of innocence, but unfortunately, the way this has been handled so far, his rights are being violated. And as you know, Your Honor, there's a wealth of case law guaranteeing his right to a fair trial, but none of the safeguards have been put in place yet here. In fact, it's just the opposite of what's been happening. He's a young man, and he is being treated like a human ping pong ball between two warring jurisdictions here. These federal and state prosecutors are coordinating with one another, but at the expense of him. They have conflicting theories in their indictments, and they are literally treating him like he is like some sort of political fodder, like some sort of spectacle. He was on display for everyone to see in the biggest staged perp walk I've ever seen in my career. It was objective, is unconstitutional, and I submit there was zero law enforcement objective to do that sort of perp walk. Absolutely no need for that whatsoever. Should know more than anyone of the presumption of innocence that he too is afforded when dealing with his own issues. And frankly, I submit that he was just trying to do anyone of the presumption of innocence that he too is afforded when dealing with his own issues. And frankly, I submit that he was just trying to detract from those issues by making a spectacle of Mr. Mangione. And there are consequences to this. He has a right to a fair trial, and I just want to put on the record statements that the mayor made publicly about my client. Nothing saying alleged, for example, and he said, I wanted to send a strong message with the police commissioner that we're leading from the front. I'm not going to just allow him to come into our city. I wanted to look him in the eye and state, you carried out this terrorist act in my city, the city of New York that I love. And he wanted to show symbolism. Your Honor, he's not a symbol. He's somebody who is afforded the right to a fair trial. He's innocent until proven guilty. And the mayor was talking to jurors, future potential jurors that elected him. Those are the people that elected him, that he is talking to and calling this man a terrorist. So, Your Honor, I just want to make a record of this and put everyone on notice that this has to stop. And my client is entitled to a fair trial and the presumption of innocence. And we're going to fight these charges, whether it's in the state or federal, to the fullest extent. Thank you, Your Honor.
Defense for Luigi Mangione stated she wanted all discovery thus far. They have 3 weeks to compile this and share. She's requesting it forthwith so she can actively defend her client, Luigi Mangione.
Your Honor, the discovery in this case is voluminous, to say the least. I have never seen a case with such volume of evidence, aside from the issue of the quality of the evidence. I suggest to counsel, because we have a discovery portal, but given how much evidence there is against this defendant, it would be smarter if counsel could provide us with a 2 terabyte external drive rather than rely on the crashing of the portal. With respect to statement and identification notice, we will be giving that notice within the next 15 days. We're preparing an ADF. We'll do our best to expedite discovery, but I'll say that with redactions and with the volume of it, we're hoping to do it as best we can this is not a usual case in terms of the thousands of hours of video tracking and the like, and the fact that we're not only responsible for discovery in this county, but in Altoona, where the arrest was made, and where several officers were involved. And we're in touch with those people, and we're going to get everything counsel's entitled to.
The district attorney on the case stated he is ready to go. We will have coverage at a later date.
30-day adjournment to see where we're at, and to, of course, counsel's aware of the various notices. We have notices as well. I take it that the council will abide by the statutory limitations on their notices with respect to any notices they believe to be appropriate. As to counsel's record on the mayor, basically repeating what the mayor said, I don't know how that advances the ball. We will comply with our ethical obligations with respect to trying this defendant's guilt in this courtroom and this courtroom alone. Thank you.
Luigi's defense attorney argued today in Manhattan Supreme Court that her client is being unfairly targeted by government officials. She mentioned the New York City Mayor Eric Adams and the perp walk, the over excessive amount of NYPD personnel with, she called, assault rifles, which their weapons are not assault rifles. They are semi-automatic long guns. They are not able to fire automatically by a pull of the trigger and just holding it. So she was wrong on that part. But yes, his attorney argued strongly for her client in Manhattan Supreme Court.
And is facing 11 state counts, also facing federal charges.
We saw this coming. You know, remember that as Luigi Mangione's attorney has been very vocal about, these were the charges he was expecting, these state charges that we saw today. It was only really at the last minute that the feds sort of flew in there and brought down these charges via complaint, and he was actually arraigned on those charges prior to the state charges. So this is what we've all been preparing ourselves for. Not surprising, he's trying to fight the charges, and his attorney asked for expedited discovery. Mm-hmm. Remember, we have all been hearing about the evidence in this case for weeks now from the NYPD, from various news outlets. But Mangione and his attorneys haven't actually received the formal discovery that they are entitled to get as part of the due process, enshrined in the Constitution, so that he can mount a defense. So I would be interested to see when he will get that discovery. I think the more interesting factor here is the federal versus the state prosecutions and whether or not they are sharing evidence. Likely they are sharing some evidence. Likely they're doing parallel investigations. DA Alvin Bragg has noted they will proceed on parallel tracks, but you'll note his federal case has an earlier court date than the next state case. He is in federal custody. It seems like all signs are pointing towards the federal case going first. Noted they will proceed on parallel tracks, but you'll note his federal case has an earlier court date than the next state case. He is in federal custody. It seems like all signs are pointing towards the federal case going first. And remember, the death penalty is on the table for that top federal charge here, as opposed to in the state case in New York. New York does not impose the death penalty. The highest charge there, murder one, carries with it the possibility of life without the possibility of parole.